Welcome back. I'm the Intense MD, a board certified intensive care doctor here to give you an inside look about the intensive care unit. A couple weeks ago, I posted a video about my top 10 tips for anybody starting their intern year or starting a new job, but is more specific to new interns. And that is because July 1st is typically the start date of the academic calendar for medical residencies. This means that new graduates who have just graduated from medical school will be starting their training in residency programs across the country on July 1st. Now, I've also said in prior videos that my residency actually started a bit earlier than that. I think I started on June 18th or 19th, but the typical day to start is July 1st. So, given this information, a lot of people think that July is the most dangerous time to go to a hospital, particularly an academic hospital, because all of these new doctors are running around and they don't know what they're doing because they just graduated. Is it true that there's a bunch of new doctors in the hospital on July 1st? Yes, there are. Does that make it more dangerous? No. And I'm going to tell you why. So, one, these people went through 4 years of training to be a doctor. You do 2 years of classroom, basic sciences, and anatomy, physiology, all of the things that set the foundation to being a good physician. And then you spend the last 2 years rotating through the hospital, working with the medical teams, learning the ins and outs of the hospital, how a medical team functions, and more about each specialty. Specifically, your third year, you focus on the core specialties: surgery, medicine, pediatrics, OBGYN, psychiatry, and family medicine. And then in your fourth year, you usually take more electives and sub-internships based on what specific specialty you're interested in going into. So this is not their first time in the hospital. They understand how the team functions. They've already seen patients and evaluated them with the guidance of a resident or a fellow or attending. And now they are not necessarily on their own, but they are able to function as a physician. And like I said in my prior video about being a new intern, this is more time to train and refine your skills, but they're not starting with zero knowledge. Another thing to remember is everybody in the hospital knows that they're dealing with new physicians. As a resident, you are very aware of being in charge of new interns, as a fellow, and as an attending. You know that you need to keep a close eye on the new residents and new interns, and you do double check what they're doing. Not necessarily following them around, but I always had sneaky ways of figuring out if my interns were getting their work done, double checking their orders, and making sure that they were on the right track without being next to them all the time. You have to be a little bit of a detective when you're supervising, but that's part of the role of being a resident, is not only taking care of your patients and learning for yourself, but also teaching those under you, because academic medicine is truly a hierarchy where you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And as you're working your way up, you're helping the people who are beneath you. So when you're a medical student, the intern's teaching you, the resident's teaching you. When you're a resident, the fellow and the attending are teaching you. And when you're an intern, you have the residents, fellows, and attendings above you to teach you. So thinking you're going to walk into a hospital on July 1st and have somebody's first day of being a doctor and they're going to get everything completely wrong and not know what you're doing is not correct, because as I said, they have experience, just not enough experience to be practicing independently, but they also have a lot of eyes on them. And as a new intern, you're also double and triple checking your own work. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to set a bad impression. So when you're an intern, you worry about everything. You're double checking things We have a resource called Up to Date that we use a lot, where we might look up a diagnosis and it'll tell us the correct diagnostics to do, the treatment plan, and it'll have all of the evidence to back it up. So we'll use that as a reference. We'll ask our upper level resident, we'll ask our attending, we will double and triple check everything. And the nurses are very aware that they're dealing with new doctors. So if they see an order that comes through that doesn't quite look correct, they'll let you know. They will call you immediately. Or if you order a medicine and it might not be appropriate for the patient, the pharmacy calls you. There's a lot of layers of protection in the hospital. So it's not just the eyes of all of the other physicians looking at you. You have pretty much everybody watching you when you're an intern, including yourself. So good luck to everybody who is starting their residency in July. I really enjoyed residency. It's a lot of tough work, but I mean, it's worthwhile, and completing internal medicine residency was a stepping stone to becoming a critical care physician. As I've said in my video about why I chose critical care, internal medicine residency is actually when I decided that I liked critical care. Prior to residency, it wasn't even on my radar as choosing that as a career. So enjoy it, and it's nice to finally feel like all of your hard work has come to you finally getting to do what you want to do, and that's be a doctor and take care of patients. If you have any questions about my experience as an intern, resident, or fellow, feel free to leave them below.